The sky above the alien world burned with strange colors, streaks of red and purple shifting like liquid fire. Sharp, jagged mountains pierced the clouds, and rivers of molten rock snaked across the barren surface. In the midst of this harsh landscape stood a fortress, black and imposing, its walls taller than any tree or building the human soldier had ever seen. It was here that the alien princess was held, chained in a high tower, a prisoner of a cruel warlord who had conquered her people. The princess, called Lysera, had spent months in this prison. Her once proud robes were torn and dust-stained, and her normally bright eyes now held shadows of despair. She had been trained to lead her people, but in these chains she felt powerless. Guards patrolled outside her cell, tall alien creatures with scaly skin and eyes like glowing coals. Every sound of their boots echoed like thunder, reminding her that escape was impossible. Or so she thought. Far above the fortress, a sleek ship hovered silently. Inside, a human soldier named Captain Ethan Gray studied the structure below. His uniform was plain, his gear minimal, but his eyes were sharp. He had been sent on a mission to rescue hostages from this warlord, but he knew that the fortress would not yield easily. "All right," he whispered to himself. "Time to bring her home." Ethan's plan was simple but dangerous. He would infiltrate the fortress through the least guarded route, using agility and wit rather than brute force. He moved quickly, scaling walls, leaping across narrow ledges, and slipping past guards as if he were part of the shadows. Every step was calculated, every breath measured. He knew one mistake could cost him his life, and Lysera's. Inside the fortress, Lysera's day had been like every other. She sat in her cell, tracing patterns on the floor with her fingers, lost in thought. Suddenly, a soft sound caught her attention, a metallic click followed by a shadow moving across the floor. Her instincts sharpened. She pressed herself against the wall, watching as a figure appeared at the edge of the dim light. It was Ethan. His appearance was almost unbelievable. A human moving like a ghost, silent yet purposeful. Lysera's first reaction was fear. Humans were not common in her part of the galaxy, and most who arrived were either soldiers or raiders. But something in his eyes, steady and calm, told her that he was different. Ethan crouched near her chains and whispered, "Princess Lysera, I'm here to free you." "I'm Captain Ethan Gray of the Interstellar Peacekeeping Force. Can you trust me?" Lysera hesitated. Her mind raced. Could she risk it? She had been betrayed before, and trust had brought her nothing but suffering. But there was something in the way he moved, confident and careful, that stirred a spark of hope. She nodded slowly. Ethan produced a small tool from his pack and began working on the locks. Sparks flew and the chains clinked softly as they fell away. Lysera rubbed her wrists, amazed at the simple freedom of movement. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "I didn't think anyone would come." Ethan shook his head. "I couldn't leave you here, but we need to move quickly. The alarms could sound at any moment." He extended a hand. Lysera took it, feeling strength and reassurance she had not felt in months. They moved cautiously through the fortress, avoiding patrols and traps. Lysera showed him secret passages she had discovered while imprisoned, her knowledge of the fortress proving invaluable. Ethan admired her intelligence and courage. "You know this place better than I do," he said. "Stay close and we'll get through this together." Their escape was not without danger. A patrol rounded a corner, their alien weapons humming ominously. Ethan acted quickly, tossing a small device that emitted a blinding flash of light. The guard staggered, giving them the chance to slip by. Lysera's heart pounded, but she did not falter. She followed Ethan's lead, moving with a determination that surprised even him. As they ran through the winding corridors, Lysera began to notice small details about the human beside her. He did not move recklessly, yet he did not hesitate. Every action was precise, every decision thoughtful. She realized that he was not just strong, he was clever, brave, and entirely committed to her safety. A strange admiration grew within her, something she had not expected to feel for a human. Finally, they reached the outer walls of the fortress. The landscape beyond was dangerous, steep cliffs, molten rivers, and alien predators that lurked in the shadows. But it was freedom. Ethan signaled for her to follow and began descending the wall using a rope launcher. Lysera hesitated for only a moment, then trusted him, gripping the rope as he guided her down. As they reached the base, alarms suddenly blared throughout the fortress. Red lights flashed and the sound echoed like a roaring beast. Ethan did not panic. "Stay close," he shouted. They sprinted across the rocky terrain, dodging guards and automated defense drones. Lysera's fear was high, but she also felt a thrill she had not felt in years. The thrill of hope, of escape, of survival. During a brief pause behind a jagged rock formation, Lysera finally spoke. You risked yourself for me. Why? Ethan looked at her, sweat on his brow, determination in his eyes. Because I can't leave someone in chains when I can help. And because I believe people deserve a chance to be free no matter who they are. Lysera felt a warmth in her chest. She had never heard words like these spoken to her, and it stirred something she could not name. Humans. You are very different from what I imagined, she said softly. Ethan smiled faintly. I'm glad to surprise you, Princess. Their brief moment of calm was shattered by the sound of heavy footsteps. The warlord's elite guard had spotted them. Ethan grabbed Lysera's hand. We need to run, now. They moved through the alien landscape, leaping over molten streams, ducking under jagged rocks, and navigating treacherous paths. Lysera struggled at first, but Ethan encouraged her, teaching her how to move quickly without losing balance. She began to rely on him, trusting his instincts and strength. As they climbed a rocky ridge, Ethan paused and looked back. We're not out of danger yet, but we're close to my ship. Can you make it a little further? Lysera nodded, determination replacing fear. I can. I will not leave your side. Ethan's heart tightened slightly. He had rescued many hostages before, but there was something different about Lysera. Not just her rank or her beauty, but her courage, her intelligence, and her resolve. He respected her, and in that moment he felt a strange connection forming. Finally, they reached the landing site. Ethan activated the ship's lift and a sleek vehicle descended. Guards approached from every side, but Ethan was ready. Using quick maneuvers and clever distractions, he managed to lift off just as enemy fire erupted around them. The fortress became smaller and smaller as they climbed higher, until it was just a shadow against the alien sky. Inside the ship, Lysera sat quietly, catching her breath. She looked at Ethan, the human who had risked everything to free her, and felt a mixture of gratitude, admiration, and curiosity. I never thought I would see the sky again, let alone fly away from here, she said softly. Ethan glanced at her. You're safe now. That's what matters. For the first time in months, Lysera allowed herself to relax. She realized that this human soldier was not just a rescuer. He was someone she could rely on, someone who had changed the course of her life. And though she had not said it aloud, she knew she would not want to be without him. As the ship soared through the alien atmosphere, leaving the fortress behind, both of them knew that their journey was far from over. The warlord would not let her go easily, and her people still suffered under his rule. But for now, they had each other. The ship hummed quietly as it glided through the alien atmosphere, leaving the fortress far behind. Outside, the jagged mountains receded into glowing haze, and rivers of molten rock sparkled in the fading light. Inside, the atmosphere was tense. Lysera sat near the controls, still adjusting to the strange human craft, while Ethan monitored the ship's scanners. Searching for threats? This ship is incredible, Lysera said softly, tracing the polished panels with her fingers. I have never seen anything like it. Ethan glanced at her with a faint smile. Humans build things to last, and we like them to be fast. But the best part is, they can get us out of tight spots. He tapped a control panel, and the ship emitted a quiet whirring sound as it changed course. Lysera nodded, though her mind was not entirely on the ship. Her thoughts wandered to her people, still suffering under the warlord's rule. She had escaped, yes, but the cost weighed heavily on her. We cannot stop here, she said. My people, they need help. We must do something. Ethan studied her carefully. I know, but we need to survive first. If we fall into the wrong hands now, no one can help anyone. She looked at him, her eyes filled with determination. Then we survive together, and we fight together. You have risked your life for me. I will not leave your side. Ethan felt a mix of surprise and respect. She was not afraid to speak her mind, and she showed courage even after everything she had endured. All right, he said quietly. Together then. The journey was not simple. The warlord's patrols scoured the skies, searching for any sign of the escaped princess. Ethan navigated through narrow canyons and twisted rock formations, using the terrain to avoid detection. Each turn was tense, A single mistake could alert the patrols and force them into a fight they could not win. As they passed through a canyon, a squad of alien drones suddenly appeared on their scanners. Ethan swore under his breath. "Hold on," he said. The ship shifted sharply, banking left to avoid the drone's energy beams. Lysira gripped the side of her seat, her heart pounding. "How do you stay so calm?" she asked, her voice barely audible over the whir of the engines. Ethan gave her a quick glance. "You focus on what you can control, not what you can't. Panic doesn't help." Lysira nodded, trying to steady herself. She had learned the hard way that fear could trap you, but courage and quick thinking could save lives. She had spent months in chains, helpless, but now she felt alive again, running alongside someone who inspired her to fight. The drones pursued them for several minutes, firing energy pulses that scorched the rock walls nearby. Ethan maneuvered skillfully, dodging each attack until finally, he launched a small device that emitted a bright, blinding light. The drones faltered, their sensors confused, giving the ship enough time to disappear into a shadowed canyon. "That was incredible," Lysira said, her voice filled with awe. "You think so clearly, even under fire." Ethan shook his head. "You learn to adapt, and you keep moving. That's what humans do." Lysira's curiosity grew. She had heard stories about humans, brave, strong, inventive, but she had never met one in person. Now, sitting beside this man who had risked his life for her, she began to understand what the stories meant. Humans were not only capable of strength, they were unpredictable, clever, and determined in ways that few other species could match. Hours passed as they navigated the alien terrain. They made brief stops in hidden valleys to rest and refuel the ship, always alert for enemy patrols. During these moments, Lysira began to share stories of her people, tales of their cities, their culture, and their struggles under the warlord's rule. Ethan listened intently, asking questions, learning more about the planet he had never visited. "You have a strong people," Ethan said. "You have survived despite everything." "That's impressive." Lysira smiled faintly. "We have survived, but we are not free. Not yet." Ethan reached out and tapped a screen showing a map of the planet. "We will find a way. First, we need to get you somewhere safe, somewhere we can plan our next move." Their conversation was interrupted by a sudden alert. The warlord's forces had spotted them again, this time with faster, larger ships closing in from the horizon. Ethan's jaw tightened. "Looks like they're not giving up," he muttered. Lysira stood, her chains-free hands gripping the edge of the ship. "Then we fight," she said firmly. "I will not run while my people suffer." Ethan looked at her, a mix of admiration and concern in his eyes. "I know, and I'm not asking you to. But we need to be smart. We can't win if we are careless," she nodded, understanding. "Then we fight smart. Together." The first wave of the enemy ships attacked, firing beams that lit up the sky. Ethan piloted the ship with skill, weaving between the enemy's fire while Lysira helped monitor the sensors, calling out the positions of incoming fighters. Her quick thinking surprised Ethan. "You're good at this," he said, barely keeping the ship steady as it dodged another attack. Lysira grinned. "I have been imprisoned for long enough. I can pay attention." They coordinated flawlessly, using a combination of speed, clever maneuvers, and quick decisions to outsmart the enemy ships. Lysira's knowledge of her planet helped them anticipate hazards, while Ethan's human ingenuity provided them with an edge the enemy did not expect. After a tense battle, they managed to escape the immediate danger, retreating into a hidden canyon where the warlord's ships could not follow. Both were breathing heavily, adrenaline still coursing through their veins. "That was too close," Lysira said, her voice trembling slightly. "I thought we might not make it." Ethan nodded, wiping sweat from his forehead. "We made it. That's what matters. You held your own out there. You were brave." Lysira looked at him, her eyes shining. "I did not do it alone. You saved me. You gave me a chance to fight again." Ethan's expression softened. "And you gave me a reason to keep going. You're not just a princess in chains anymore, you're a fighter. And I trust you." The words hung in the air, heavier than any threat they had faced. For the first time, Lysira felt a connection that went beyond simple gratitude. This human soldier had risked everything for her, and she realized that she would not abandon him no matter the danger ahead. As night fell over the alien landscape, the ship settled in a hidden valley. The stars shone brightly above, a reminder of the vastness of space and the endless possibilities it held. Lysira looked out at the sky, then back at Ethan. Where will we go next? She asked. Ethan studied the map again. There's a rebel base on the other side of the mountains. Your people have allies there. We can regroup, plan, and figure out our next move. Lysera nodded, determination in her eyes. Then we go there, and I will stay with you. I refuse to leave your side, Captain. Ethan felt a warmth in his chest. He had rescued many people before, but none had shown such resolve and courage. All right, he said quietly. Then we go together. The human and the alien princess prepared for the next stage of their journey. They knew the path ahead would be dangerous, filled with enemies, challenges, and uncertainty. But for the first time in months, Lysera felt hope. And for the first time, Ethan felt the weight of responsibility not just for a mission, but for someone who had chosen to trust him completely. As the ship rested in the hidden valley, both of them understood that this was only the beginning. The warlord would not stop and her people still suffered. But together they had a chance. And together they would face whatever dangers awaited them. The night was quiet, but the stars above promised new adventures, new battles, and a bond forged in courage, trust, and shared determination. And so the human soldier and the alien princess prepared to continue their journey, side by side, unstoppable and ready to fight for freedom. The hidden valley was quiet, save for the soft hum of the human ship as it rested on the rocky ground. The night was deep, the sky above studded with countless stars that seemed to shine just for them. Lysera sat near the open hatch, her hands folded in her lap, thinking of her people. She had escaped, yes, but her planet was still under the warlord's control. Her heart ached for them. Ethan moved across the cabin, checking the ship's systems. We can't stay here long, he said. The warlord will send more patrols soon. We need to move before sunrise. Lysera nodded. I understand. But we must find allies, people who can help my people. We cannot let them suffer while we hide. Ethan studied her for a moment. Her determination reminded him why he had risked so much to free her. You're brave, he said quietly. Most would run, hide, and hope for rescue. You want to fight. I cannot sit idly while my people suffer, she replied firmly. You saved me, and now I must save them. The two of them took off at dawn, the ship rising silently over the jagged mountains. Ethan guided them through narrow canyons, avoiding patrols and natural hazards. The terrain was difficult, jagged cliffs and molten rivers carving their path. Yet Lysera held firm, following Ethan's instructions and learning quickly how to navigate the alien environment. Hours passed, and they finally approached a forested region. It was unlike anything Lysera had seen in the warlord's controlled lands. Lush greenery, strange trees, and clear streams of water. She felt a spark of hope. There are people here, she whispered. Perhaps they are allies. Ethan nodded. We'll check it out. Stay alert, though. Friendly or not, we cannot be careless. They landed in a small clearing, hidden beneath thick foliage. The forest was quiet at first, but then movement caught their eyes. A group of alien rebels emerged, armed but wary, eyes wide at the sight of the human ship and Lysera. Lysera stepped forward, raising her hands in a gesture of peace. I am Princess Lysera, she said clearly. I have escaped the warlord. He still controls many of our cities. I need your help. The rebels exchanged glances. One stepped forward, a tall, strong alien with silver hair and piercing eyes. We have heard rumors of your escape, he said. If you truly are Princess Lysera, then our cause is not lost. But we must see proof of your escape. Ethan nodded. I can provide proof, he said calmly. I am Captain Ethan Gray of the Interstellar Peacekeeping Force. We have just escaped the warlord's fortress together. The rebel leader studied them, then signaled to his team. Very well, you may come with us, but be warned, we are cautious. The warlord has spies everywhere. Lysera followed them, keeping close to Ethan. She felt a strange sense of relief. At last, she was among allies. But she knew the danger was far from over. The warlord's forces were still strong, and their mission had only just begun. Inside the rebel base, Lysera was greeted by leaders of various factions, all united by their desire to overthrow the warlord. She explained her plan, detailing the state of her people, the warlord's defenses, and the need for careful coordination. Ethan listened quietly, offering advice and insights, helping them develop strategies that combined human ingenuity with alien knowledge. Over the next few days, Lysera and Ethan trained with the rebels. She taught them tactics she had learned from her studies and life as a leader, while Ethan introduced new ideas, teaching them to adapt quickly, think ahead, and use their environment to their advantage. The bond between Lysera and Ethan grew stronger. They shared quiet moments, speaking of their lives before the war, their hopes and fears. Lysera began to see humans differently, not just as outsiders, but as capable allies, clever and resilient. And Ethan admired her courage, her intelligence, and her unwavering determination to protect her people. One afternoon, while surveying the surrounding terrain, a scout ran toward them, out of breath. "Ambush! The warlord's patrols are near," he shouted. Ethan immediately took charge. "Get everyone to cover. Lysera, stay with me. We'll scout ahead and guide them." They moved through the forest carefully, avoiding open areas and using the trees for cover. The warlord's patrol was larger than they expected. Dozens of soldiers moving with precision, scanning the area for signs of the rebels. Ethan whispered to Lysera, "We'll need to distract them. Can you help?" Lysera nodded, quickly formulating a plan. Using her knowledge of the terrain, she directed the rebels to create traps, fallen branches rigged to fall, nets camouflaged among the trees, and makeshift barricades. Ethan added human-style diversions, small devices that emitted smoke and light, confusing the enemy soldiers. The ambush began. As the warlord's patrol entered the trap, they were caught off guard. Nets fell, smoke filled the air, and the rebels attacked from hidden positions. The patrol was forced to retreat, overwhelmed by the clever coordination of humans and aliens working together. After the battle, Lysera approached Ethan. "We did it together," she said, her eyes shining. Ethan smiled, wiping sweat from his brow. "Yes, but this is only the beginning. The warlord will send more forces. We need to prepare for the next attack." Lysera nodded. "Then we prepare. I will not leave your side. You saved me, and now we fight together." As night fell, the rebels celebrated their small victory quietly. Lysera and Ethan sat by a campfire watching the stars. Silence stretched between them, comfortable and unspoken. "You've changed everything for me," Lysera said finally. "Not just my life, but the lives of my people. You give hope." Ethan looked at her, his expression serious but gentle. "And you've reminded me why I fight. Courage isn't just about weapons or strength. It's about standing up when it's hard and helping others. You do that." Lysera felt a warmth she could not describe. She had spent months in chains, feeling powerless and alone. But now, beside this human soldier who had risked everything for her, she felt hope. Not just for herself, but for her people, and for the future they could build together. The next morning they set out again. Ethan piloted the ship, scouting for the safest route through the mountains and forests. Lysera assisted, using her knowledge of the terrain to guide them, pointing out hidden paths, dangerous cliffs, and places where the warlord's patrols might hide. As they traveled, they encountered more signs of the warlord's cruelty: destroyed villages, abandoned settlements, and people hiding in fear. Lysera's resolve hardened. "We must act quickly," she said. "The longer we wait, the more his power grows." Ethan nodded. And we will. But we need to be smart. One wrong move could cost many lives. They continued their journey, moving cautiously but steadily. Along the way, Lysera began to teach the rebels about strategy, leadership, and courage, inspired by her own experiences and by Ethan's guidance. The rebels learned quickly, impressed by the combination of the rebel base buzzed with activity. Alien soldiers and strategists moved in organized chaos, preparing for what would be the first real confrontation with the warlord's forces. Lysera walked among them, her presence inspiring courage. The humans and aliens worked side by side, learning from each other. She had never seen such determination in her people. They were ready to fight to reclaim their freedom. Ethan stood nearby, overseeing the preparations. He watched as Lysera spoke to the rebels, giving instructions and guidance. "You're a natural leader," he said quietly, leaning close. Lysera looked at him, her eyes serious. "I learned from being a prisoner. I learned what it means to have hope and what it means to lose it. I will not let my people suffer without trying." Ethan nodded. "Then we fight together. Every step, every plan, together." The morning sun rose over the mountains, casting long shadows across the valley. Scouts reported that the warlord's forces were approaching, a massive army moving with precision and discipline. Ethan studied the data. "They outnumber us," he said, "but we have the advantage of terrain and strategy. We can make them pay for every step they take." Lysera's jaw tightened. "Then we use it. We fight smart, not just hard." The battle began with a low hum, the distant rumble of warlord ships breaking through the clouds. Ethan and Lysera moved quickly, coordinating the rebels. They set up barricades, traps, and hidden positions, using every hill, tree, and rock to their advantage. Lysera's knowledge of her planet proved invaluable, and Ethan's human strategies added unpredictability that the enemy did not expect. The first wave of attackers arrived, alien soldiers charging down the valley. Lysera stood with Ethan at the front, observing. "We need to hold them here," she said. "Do not let them break through our defenses." Ethan nodded. "We'll force them into the traps. Stay calm and watch the patterns." The rebels opened fire from hidden positions. Nets fell from trees. Pitfalls swallowed enemy soldiers, and Ethan's diversion devices confused their ranks. The warlord's forces were strong, but they were unprepared for the clever coordination of humans and aliens working together. Lysera moved through the battlefield, directing her people, adjusting strategies, and inspiring courage. She saw rebels hesitating, frightened by the enemy's size, and she ran to their side. "Do not falter," she shouted. "We fight for our freedom.
We fight for our future."
The soldiers regained their courage, pressing forward with renewed determination. Ethan fought alongside them, using his human ingenuity to outsmart and outmaneuver the enemy. Together, he and Lysera created chaos in the warlord's ranks, turning fear into victory. Despite the chaos, Ethan noticed Lysera acting fearlessly. She climbed rocks to get a better view, coordinated attacks, and even rescued a group of rebels trapped by enemy soldiers. He felt a surge of admiration. She was more than a princess. She was a fighter, a leader, and a symbol of hope for her people. Hours passed. The sun reached its zenith, casting harsh light over the battlefield. Both sides were exhausted, but the rebels held their ground. Lysera and Ethan stood together, planning the next move. "We need to cut off their supply lines," Ethan said. "If we do that, we can weaken their army before they regroup." Lysera nodded. "I know the paths they use. We can set ambushes, but we must act quickly." They led a small team through hidden paths, moving silently to avoid detection. The enemy soldiers were unaware of their presence until it was too late. Traps were triggered, supply carts overturned, and confusion spread through the ranks. The warlord's army faltered, giving the rebels a crucial advantage. After the successful ambush, they returned to the main battlefield. Lysera's people cheered, inspired by the victory. The warlord's soldiers were retreating, forced to reconsider their approach. Ethan leaned toward Lysera, wiping sweat from his brow. "You did well. Everyone followed you because they believe in you." Lysera smiled faintly, though her eyes were still serious. "I could not have done it alone. You showed them how to fight smart." We fought together and we won together. The celebration was short-lived. Scouts reported a new threat. The warlord had deployed his elite guard, a group of highly trained soldiers led by a commander known for cruelty and strength. This new wave would be much harder to stop. Lysera's expression hardened. "Then we prepare again. We cannot let fear control us. We fight smart, we fight together, and we will not lose. Ethan nodded, respect shining in his eyes. And we will win. We have courage, strategy, and teamwork. That is more than any army can handle. The elite guard arrived and the battle intensified. The air filled with the sounds of energy weapons, explosions, and shouts. Ethan and Lysera coordinated the defense, moving through the battlefield with precision. They directed reinforcements, guided attacks, and stayed calm under pressure, inspiring the rebels with their bravery. Lysera noticed a group of enemy soldiers trying to flank the rebels. Without hesitation, she ran toward them, signaling Ethan. "I'll handle this," she shouted. Ethan followed, fighting beside her. Together, they outmaneuvered the flanking soldiers, turning the tide of the battle. Lysera's bravery and tactical mind impressed everyone around her, including Ethan, who realized that humans and aliens together could achieve extraordinary things. After hours of fighting, the warlord's elite guard retreated, leaving the rebels victorious for the moment. The battlefield was scarred, but hope had been restored. Lysera and Ethan stood together, surveying the scene. "You've changed everything," Ethan said quietly. "Your people believe in themselves again because they see you standing here." Lysera looked at him, her eyes reflecting gratitude and trust. "And I believe in you. You risked everything to save me, and now we fight for them together. I will not leave your side, Ethan. Not now, not ever." Ethan felt a deep respect and warmth. "And I will not leave yours. We fight as one and we survive as one." The night fell over the valley, quiet except for the distant sounds of retreating forces. Lysera and Ethan walked through the battlefield, checking on the rebels and making sure everyone was safe. They worked side by side, leaders united by courage, trust, and a growing bond. Around a small campfire later, they spoke quietly, sharing stories of their lives, their hopes, and the battles they had fought before. Lysera had learned to trust humans, and Ethan had come to admire her bravery and intelligence. Together they formed a partnership that went beyond words, built on respect, loyalty, and shared purpose. As they prepared for the next stage of the fight, both knew the warlord would not stop. His forces were large, his power great, and he would return stronger than ever. But Lysera and Ethan had proven that courage, strategy, and trust could overcome even the darkest threats. And so, with the rebel army behind them, the princess and the human soldier stood ready. Together they would face whatever dangers came next, leading their people with wisdom, bravery, and the unshakable bond they had formed in the fires of battle. The warlord would soon learn that freedom was not given, it was fought for, and that when humans and aliens stood together, nothing could stand in their way. The sun rose over the valley, painting the sky with streaks of orange and pink. The rebel base was alive with energy, soldiers preparing for what would be the final battle against the warlord's forces. Lysera moved among them, her presence inspiring courage and determination. The humans and aliens worked together seamlessly, each learning from the other. Ethan stood beside her, watching the preparations. "This is it," he said quietly. "Everything we've worked for comes down to today." Lysera nodded, her jaw firm. "We cannot fail. Not for my people, not for anyone who hopes for freedom." The rebels, now united under Lysera's leadership, readied their weapons and strategies. Ethan coordinated with them, introducing clever human tactics, diversion attacks, trap placements, and unexpected flanking maneuvers. Lysera contributed her knowledge of the terrain and enemy behavior, creating a plan that would catch the warlord's forces off guard. As the warlord's army approached, the ground shook with the weight of thousands of soldiers and towering war machines. Lysera and Ethan stood together on a ridge overlooking the battlefield. "We have one chance," Ethan said. "We must use it wisely." Lysera's eyes scanned the enemy ranks. Then we fight smart. Every step counts. We make them regret underestimating us. The first wave of the warlord's forces attacked, marching through the valley with relentless precision. Ethan and Lysera coordinated the rebels who were hidden behind rocks, trees, and trenches. Traps were triggered, falling nets and pitfalls ensnaring enemy soldiers. Human diversion devices created smoke and flashes, confusing their ranks. Lysera moved through the battlefield, guiding her people, giving orders, and helping where she was needed most. She rescued a group of rebels trapped by enemy soldiers, directing reinforcements to turn the tide. Ethan fought beside her, moving swiftly, using strategy and skill to outmaneuver the enemy. Hours passed in fierce battle. Sweat and dust coated their faces, but neither faltered. The warlord's army was strong, but the combined courage and intelligence of humans and aliens proved stronger. Each success inspired more courage, each victory giving hope to the oppressed. Finally, a rumble shook the valley as the warlord arrived with his elite war machine, a massive armored vehicle bristling with weapons. His presence alone brought fear to many soldiers. Lysera and Ethan exchanged a determined glance. "We face him together," Ethan said. Lysera nodded. "We have to. For our people." The two moved forward, guiding the rebels to strategically weaken the war machine. They used terrain to their advantage, forcing the warlord's forces into traps, creating distractions and drawing fire away from the main attack. Lysera's knowledge of her planet's natural hazards allowed them to use the environment as a weapon, forcing the enemy to retreat or risk destruction. Ethan climbed onto a boulder, aiming a small device at the war machine. "Lysera now," he shouted. Lysera gave the signal and a coordinated attack struck the war machine from multiple sides. Explosions rocked the battlefield and the elite forces faltered. The warlord's soldiers, confused and demoralized, began to retreat. Finally, the warlord himself stepped onto the battlefield, his presence commanding and terrifying. Lysera faced him, standing tall beside Ethan. "This ends today," she declared. The warlord laughed, a deep, cruel sound. "You are only one princess and one human." "You cannot stop me," Ethan stepped forward. "We are not just one princess and one human. We are allies. Together we are stronger than you imagine." Lysera and Ethan moved as one, guiding the rebels and attacking strategically. The warlord's power and confidence faltered as their coordinated efforts overcame his elite guard. Every trap, every diversion, every clever maneuver weakened him. At last, the warlord found himself cornered, trapped by his own arrogance and the ingenuity of humans and aliens working together. Lysera approached him, her eyes filled with strength and determination. "Your reign is over. Your people will no longer suffer under your control." With one final coordinated strike, Ethan and the rebels disabled the warlord's war machine, forcing him to surrender. The battlefield fell silent, the sound of retreating soldiers echoing across the valley. Lysera's people cheered, their hope renewed, their freedom within reach. Ethan approached Lysera, exhaustion on his face, but pride in his eyes. "We did it," he said quietly. Lysera smiled, though her eyes were serious. "Yes, we did it together. You showed my people what courage truly is, and you showed me what humans are capable of." Ethan felt warmth in his chest. He had risked everything to rescue her, but he realized now that they had achieved more than freedom. They had inspired hope, unity, and courage across her world. The rebel leaders approached, thanking Lysera and Ethan for their guidance and bravery. Lysera addressed them, her voice strong and commanding. "This victory belongs to all of us. We fought together, humans and aliens alike, and we have reclaimed our future. But we must continue to work together, rebuild our cities, and protect our people from any threat that comes again." Ethan stood beside her, offering support, a silent acknowledgement of their shared leadership. "We will help you," he said. "As long as we can, we will be here." After the celebrations began, Lysera found a quiet moment with Ethan. The battlefield was littered with remnants of the war, but the victory had brought a sense of peace. "You saved me," she said softly. "Not just from the chains, but from despair. And now I cannot leave your side. I will stay with you, not because I must, but because I choose to." Ethan looked at her, a mix of respect, admiration, and quiet happiness in his eyes. "And I will not leave yours. We have fought together, we have survived together, and now we will face the future together." Lysera smiled, feeling a sense of peace she had not known in months. The human soldier had shown her bravery, loyalty, and the true meaning of courage, and she, in turn, had inspired him to see the strength of hope, leadership, and determination in a world far from his own. As the sun set over the valley, painting the sky with colors of victory, Lysra and Ethan stood side by side. The warlord was defeated, her people were free, and a new era had begun. They looked out across the valley, imagining the cities they would rebuild, the lives they would protect, and the future they would shape together. Lysra's people gathered around, celebrating their freedom and honoring the courage of the human soldier, who had risked everything to save their princess. Children laughed, elders smiled, and the banners of the liberated cities fluttered proudly in the wind. Ethan watched it all quietly, a smile on his face. He had never imagined that a mission to rescue a single princess could lead to so much change, so much hope. He felt a sense of fulfillment, knowing that they had made a difference. Lysra turned to him, her eyes shining. "Thank you," she said softly, "for everything. For freeing me, for staying by my side, and for believing in us. I cannot imagine a life without you now." Ethan placed a hand gently on hers. "You don't have to. We will face whatever comes next together, I promise." The stars began to appear in the darkening sky, each one shining like a beacon of hope. Lysra and Ethan stood together, looking toward the horizon, knowing that the battle was won, but the journey of rebuilding and protecting their world was just beginning.